Okay, if we're ready, let's get started. Welcome. This is the February PTO meeting. We're called to order at 7:05 p.m. I want to thank everybody for coming. We have a lot of stuff to go over today. None of it should take too long, but we'll get everything done here, and then hopefully we'll get on with our evening. After our normal stuff, we have a presentation by Betty Zohar, who is a UFT rep, and she's going to speak about the BRAVE program and Dial a Teacher. She also has some stuff that we're going to go over even before she starts, some of the same stuff that we're going to speak prior to our ending our meeting today. So first up, let's go right to the housekeeping aspect of it. We have our January meeting minutes, the draft. I will try to share my screen. Mary Ann, would you like to read those minutes?
Sure. You want me to share it, or do you want to try to share?
Okay, you're co-host. Let's make it easy.
Okay. I'm going to try to share. Here we go. Okay. Everyone see the minutes? Yeah, I guess last month there really was no decision yet about reopening schools. So, we had a tentative date for graduation at Ford Amphitheater, June 18th. At that point, we thought the gifted and talented exam was going to be given. All right. The middle school admissions, there'd been the announcement that there were no screens for this year. So the superintendent's programs in McAuliffe were going to be open to district-wide lotteries, but we were moving ahead with our 3 academies, scientific research, business and law, and arts and humanities. Okay, and I think Vita's organization, Place New York, was going to lobby lawmakers to make sure that the lotteries were done in a fair manner and not manipulated. Review of December's minutes, that passed. Treasurer's report. I think we had a discussion about some updates to the budget, about setting aside some money. Money had been set aside for spring gala, but there wasn't a decision yet about what was going to happen with that. And we had a very generous parent donation with a matching corporate donation, $1,000 each. So we had a discussion. We missed out, the principal's report, and missed out on the Title I status. We came up a little bit short, even though we do have a very high poverty rate for the school. Right. Mr. Berman had mentioned the school was talking about the grading policies and shifting the focus from homework and more on the value of schoolwork that was done during the day to help limit screen time after school. All right, the SHSAT was scheduled to go forward January 27th and talk about senior sweatshirts, plan for 1 single design. Right, and then Ms. Donna Zatowski gave her a presentation on the high school admissions process, which was then shared with at least the 8th grade parents. I don't know if it was shared with all of the parents. So a lot of that information is just the basic information about the high school process for this year. They had extended the deadline for registering for the SHSAT. And at that point, the deadline for the regular high school admissions process was February 23rd. It's since been extended to March 1st. And that's pretty much it. And this is really just a breakdown. So if you just watch the video, the presentation that was sent out, you'll be able to get all the details on how the decisions were going to be made for high school. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary Ann. Can you unshare?
Want me to put it back up?
If anybody has any changes, you want to mention the chat? No, we're fine. I think we're good. We sent them out. Everyone should have received a copy of the minutes the agenda as well as the treasurer's report. So hopefully we could have looked at that prior to the meeting. If not, you could look at it at your leisure. You could always email something if there's a really salient point that's missing. I don't think that is the case. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please? Just wave your hands. See, I've got a speaker view. Thank you. Second, thank you. So if anybody objects, thank you, Sandra. Welcome. Okay, great. So note that the minutes are unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the treasurer's report. I'll attempt to share my screen at this time. Does everybody see the treasurer's report in front of them? Yes, thumbs up, thank you. So again, there's not a heck of a lot going on here. We started the year with $64,650 and change. We collected, thanks to Cheddar Up. Thank you, Madeline, for that idea. We collected $3,200 and change. We spent 20 bucks on water. The grand total is $67,842.25. The last page is the statement from the bank, which matches up with our statement. So it's all very clean and official. Thank you very much indeed. So I will stop sharing. Okay, and wonderful, we're back. So we'll move to the other items in the agenda. Some things will dovetail right in that. So when I do speak about the budget, I always want to mention how much Mr. Berman and I coordinate everything and work synergistically. I cannot say enough how unusual that really positive relationship is at a school. It doesn't happen in many places, and the fact that Mr. Berman and I can do that really just is a testament to just professionalism of everybody involved. So I really appreciate that. And what I mean by that is Mr. Berman, we'll segue into graduation update. Mr. Berman is paying for a lot of stuff that we used to pay for, right? Our kids used to pay for caps and gowns and yearbooks and the cases for the diplomas and sweatshirts. And Mr. Berman is using this big pool of money that he has to take care of that for us. And he's also trying to do other things, and I'll let him speak about that if he wishes. But in exchange, what we're doing things with our money that he can't do. So I think maybe tomorrow that everyone's back in, we're going to treat our teachers to lunch. We are so happy to do it. I always relate to my 9/11 experience when we had members of the community come in. They would bring us food and they bring us, water and drinks, and you don't realize how much it's appreciated. And I know our teachers appreciate it, and we appreciate them coming in and doing what they do for our children. In addition, so that's the graduation. That's the things he's spending money on graduation. In addition, we are working with Ms. McGar, who's leading the graduation charge this year. Ms. McGar is going to be spearheading it, and we have a committee of 8th grade parents who are going to be working with her. So we have our SLT 8th grade parents and our PTO 8th grade parents, and they're going to work together to see if we can have as nice of an experience as possible for our kids. I just, we want to make sure that the parents who have kids in the, kids in the game are their voices are heard. And that way, it's harder for us to miss something, right? And the PTO's job is to support them any way we can. If we find something that we could do within the confines limitations that the city and the DOE and everybody else is going to have for us, well then, that's what we'll do. We'll do whatever we can. I certainly want to be able to support all of the fun stuff that we did. I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to have a carnival or assemblies or any of that anytime soon, but I would love to be able to get into Ford Theater. That's not a foregone conclusion. We usually have a senior breakfast. I would love to do something where we feed people in some way, but I don't know. So we're all going to put our heads together, and we're going to come up with different things that we could do. If parents who are not on the committee have any ideas, you could feel free to email me, post something on the Facebook group, and we want to look into everything. So that's I want to thank our parents who volunteered to do that, and we're looking to have a really great time for this graduation this year.
Vito, there's a question in the chat.
CEC elections. Hello?
I'm sorry, Vito, there's a question in the chat.
Thank you so much. I'm looking at my, thank you. I'm looking at my screen. So for 8th graders, no need to order diploma case separately, but it will be shipped separately. Is that true? I don't know. Is that a question or a statement?
We're going to be providing the diploma cases with the diplomas and sending those things home directly. So we won't have to worry about coming to the school and picking them up. So we'll make sure that those things get sent home.
Okay, anything else in there? Great, thank you, Melanie. So yeah, so in addition to that, or along with that, we do want to do for pictures. So right now we have April 24th, which is a Saturday, and we're arranging for our children to go to the studio to have their pictures taken. By then they will have received in gowns, and they have to bring their caps and gowns to the studio to get their picture taken. We are exploring the possibility, since schools are now open, of perhaps using our school, because we think that would be better for our families. So we just decided to explore that avenue. That would look like something along the lines of the cohort that are in school, we would service them. And then after the cohorts, on a different day, we would have the remote kids come in after school. Mr. Berman me that they can't come in during the day because it's really the most important. So yes, the kids could come in maybe at 2:30, start coming in at 2:30, and we could take their pictures in a controlled manner. We would need volunteers for that to make sure that we're socially distant and that everything's done very safely. Please someone monitor the chat. I'm looking at my agenda and my news as I do this. CEC elections are coming up. I'm not campaigning, but I am running again. And so take a look at, as we go forward, every single parent or every single family gets one vote. So if you have one child, it's one vote per child, right? So if you have 3 children and they're spread out, like 2 children in high school, like we do, and 1 child in middle school, like we do, you would get 2 votes for high school. So the family has 2 votes for high school, a vote for middle school, which is the District 20 CEC. And the high school parents would be the citywide high school council. So the applications. Yep, tell me, Marianne, go ahead, just jump in.
There's a question about the kids who graduated last year. It seems like some of them haven't gotten their diplomas yet. There's a question, when will children that graduated last year get their diplomas?
Okay, so I believe they were out there. If there's an issue, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Berman.
I was going to say they certainly should have received them by now, either via mail or special personal delivery by our amazing school aides who have been scouring Brooklyn, delivering diplomas. I was pretty sure they finished those over the holiday break, but if there are folks, perhaps you might have moved and didn't get the one that was mailed to you, or whatever the reason may be, you can email me at jberman3, or you can email our parent coordinator, Carla Palumbo at cpalumbo4. I'll put those in the, or perhaps someone can put those in the chat. And just let me know and we'll get you a diploma. We'll get you your diploma.
There we go. Thank you, Marianne.
So right, J. Berman 3.
Okay,
at
so
schools,
where was
and
I? So,
C. Palumbo 4 at schools.
oops,
Either one.
wonderful, thank you.
You're
So yeah, so CEC, any questions on that? You'll get more guidance from the DOE. They'll be sending out guidance about how you go about it. It's through your My Schools account. That's how you run. If anybody wants to run, that's wonderful. You should try that. Or if you want to vote, you will be voting sometime, I believe, in May. And before that, we'll be having some kind of candidate forums virtually. In addition to that, we have PTO elections. I don't know if we're going to have them this year or in September of next year, but ladies and gentlemen, please, we have our wonderful reporting secretary, Marianne, our wonderful treasurer, Michelle. They'll be leaving us this year. We really need someone to step up. You could step up now if you're interested, and we could, vote you in at the next meeting as an assistant treasurer, so you could learn the ropes, and we could teach you. We really need people to jump in and get involved. If you have any skills at all, you can learn this. This is not difficult. We've set it up so that it's kind of like just fill in the blanks, right? It's fairly easy to pick up, and you would really be doing a great service to our school if you can if you can pitch in. We're hoping, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, that next year is going to be a normal year, right? Everyone's hoping that. Come September, everything will be back to normal. We'll be able to do lots of great things. And I only have one more year here, so we want to have somebody in the wings that we can hand it off to, and they can go and they can take it and they can make it even better than it is today. So and along that line, we do need to have some kind of a PTO audit, financial audit. We need to do that. We need an audit committee. I'm going to see if I could draft some non-PTO members who are on the SLT to go, and basically it's a form you fill out. We show you all the books. We show you all the all the income, all the expenses. We need to make sure that everything matches up with the bank account, and we fill out a form and we send it in to Mr. Berman and the DOE, and maybe the IRS since we're a nonprofit. Any questions on any of that so far? Okay, let me go back to my screen. State testing. The school, the DOE, put in for a waiver test. In case you didn't know, it's mandated by the federal government. At one point, the chancellor had said, you better vote the right way. We want to get our state test waiver approved. Well, I don't know what he was talking about, but Joe Biden came in and said that kids have to take state tests. So I guess maybe they weren't planning on that. We don't know what that's going to mean. Or if they're going to stick with it. We don't know if they're going to give them a waiver anyway. But right now, we thought the state test would be canceled. I know Mr. Berman has not heard anything of it, but that is unofficial, like where we are now. Everything's in limbo, which is, no different than the last year. GNT and admission policies, and that, yes, don't know what the policies are for this year. How it affects some of our 8th graders. If you have a middle school student in District 20, you know that everything is going to be a lottery. All of our seats in District, Krista McAuliffe, those are up for a lottery. There's 3 separate choices by academy. All of the superintendent programs are now district-wide lotteries. We knew that. I do not believe there are any set-asides in the lottery, none that I am aware of. That means we don't have a set-aside in the lottery for a free and reduced lunch or any kind of economic need index. If you are applying to high school, that is not necessarily the case. Townsend High School in Queens just announced that they're doing a lottery where they have a band between 91 and 99 using, and that's 91, that's some kind of, where they combine sixth grade test scores and they put them in a lottery, but there is a 50% set aside for kids with free and reduced lunch. So that's what Townsend Harris is doing in Queens. Every high school that you might be interested in is doing it differently. So it would behoove you to find out what the metrics the high school you're interested in is using. And does anyone have anything here to support Mr. Berman? If we still have the thermometers and everything else, so hopefully those are all still functioning. I'm here to support him with the lunch and anything else that he needs. And if he has any questions for me, I'll end them. Otherwise, I will give it over to Mr. Berman to finish us off.
Well, thank you very much, Mr.
I do
Labella.
not see any questions. Go ahead, sir. It's yours.
No, I just wanted to thank you and say, let's hold on a minute and see if anybody has any questions for you. And then I can give a little bit of a report.
I think schools are what's on people's minds, sir.
Okay. All right, very good. So good
I have a
evening, everyone.
question.
Thanks. Oh, yes, of course.
Well, there is a question. Hold on.
Good evening, all. My name is Mrs. Curry. I'm Marie's mom, Marie Curry mom. I'm just a little bit concerned, and she is, of course, more than me probably. We're returning to school on Thursday, which her first day will be on Monday. Her major concern, and I feel that's her anxiety, is her are her teachers gonna change again because she's going back for the blended, or the teacher's gonna be are the teacher that are teaching her right now, which she's in A group, but so when they switch from the blended to full remote, her teacher changed. And so she had to adjust to it, and I'm sure like everybody else. And now although she wants to go back to the building, she's really concerned that, again, her teacher might change again. So that would be the third time. And that's my concern as well, because I know she's really comfortable with the teachers right now. And so I feel that she's very anxious about it.
Sure. So here's how I can reply to that. There are some classes that are going to change. Some programs are going to change. Some because as you said, because we're going from remote to blended. Others were intentionally changed based on feedback that we had from students and parents about, for example, some of the executive learning classes, some of the social emotional learning classes, where students may have had a preponderance of those classes and no arts classes. So we tried to really make those accommodations there. I think that our goal is to keep everything as steady as possible without making those changes. Sometimes it's unavoidable. What I would say is if you are blended and going back, and for some reason you feel like the remote was better for you, you can always go back and be remote. I mean, that's always an option for you.
For me, definitely will be better that she's at school. and she loves school. It's not just the point. It's at this point, it's just, we kind of closer to the end of the school, and so she adjusted, and she's worried about the grades and how is it going to be taken from there again. Sure. That's, lots of course, confusion, and nobody's fault is it. I do understand.
Well, the remote and blended programs are inherently different, and it's the way we set things up so that we were able to provide the kind of live instruction that we've been providing every day and just about every period for the kids that who have been home most of the year. And it's sort of an unfortunate trade-off just because we don't have the money or the staff to do both. And, you know, so I would say though that keep in touch with me. Let me know, you know, how you're feeling and what you're seeing and what you want to do. If we can make any accommodations, we certainly will.
I know. Thank you so much. And I
You're
do
welcome.
appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
I believe high school applications are still open, aren't they, sir?
I don't believe
Yes.
so.
They are. They shifted the deadline to March 1st.
Oh, March 8th. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
they switched to 8th? I thought it was the 1st.
Let me check on that. Let me see if I have that here.
Definitely was the 1st. I haven't seen the 8th though.
Yeah, it was the first. That's what Ms. Damatowski had said.
Okay. Oh, hi, Carla. Thank you.
So any statewide test this year? Okay, so I discussed that already, but so the city did put in for a waiver. The president said that everyone has to take state tests, so we're kind of in limbo, and we're waiting for future guidance from whoever.
Yeah. And I have confirmed it is definitely March 1st. No question.
If we're fully remote, you cannot go back. The city has not decided if they will allow us to go black blended. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. There were some instances where we were able to honor those requests, but they are no longer honoring any of those requests. And I'll talk a little bit about that when that time comes, which will be pretty soon, I think.
Okay, I think there are a lot of questions about school opening and blended and stuff. So why don't you do your thing?
All right, so I can talk a little bit about
until the end.
Well, if not the end, I'll talk a little bit about the school reopening part, and then we can, you know, certainly address those questions before we get on to anything else. So,
yes, sir.
So school is opening on Thursday. Cohorts C will, I believe, will be in attendance along with cohort E on Thursday and Friday, and then we'll start with cohort A on Monday and Tuesday. This earlier this afternoon, I sent home a calendar that Mrs. Gasser revised and put together, which has the cycle days and the cohort days. So you should have that on your refrigerator if you're a blended family, so you know which days to come in or not. We made some changes. I'm sorry, if you have your mic on, if you can mute yourself, that would be helpful. But we did make some changes to I'm sorry. I don't know if I have control over the microphones, but perhaps we can mute everyone and then put me back on if we have to. But so some of the changes that we made was we increased the amount of students or the number of students who are coming to school 5 days a week. And I think we talked a little bit about that at the last meeting, but what we were able to do is to have all of our self-contained students who are interested in returning, and there were quite a few. We have them coming back 5 days a week for instruction, and we have a number of ICT and general education students who have really been struggling with the remote learning, coming back 5 days per week as well. We've kind of maximized our space utilization at this point. That's one of the major factors in how many students we can bring back, because we are, of course, still under the social distancing requirements and all of the other health requirements in terms of being safe around the school. That includes mask wearing, of course, being socially distant in the classrooms and traveling throughout the building, having windows open for ventilation. We do have air purifiers in all of the classrooms. So those should help as well. What else can I say? Consent for testing. I know there was some question about that. There was some conflicting information that came out, but it has been clarified. What happened was the DOE originally stated that parents must consent to have their child tested if they want their child to come to school in person. If they did not consent, then the child would have to be a remote learner. About a week ago, the state came out with some additional guidance, which basically was contrary to that policy. And the state said that students could not be kept out of school for failure of parents to consent for testing. That has since been clarified, and the original policy is back in place, at least in New York City. And that is, any student who comes to school must provide consent for COVID-19 testing. We have the testing core coming to school tomorrow, not tomorrow, on Thursday. They're scheduled to come when we reopen, and they're also scheduled to come back next Monday. And we'll be having testing every week, at least for the time being. So please, if you're planning on sending your child, please make sure that you do the consent. If you send your child without the consent, we'll call you on Thursday, but your child won't be allowed to go to school on Friday. So please make sure that that you take care of that. Whether you think it's the right thing or the wrong thing, and whether I think it's the right thing or the wrong thing, in the end, right now, it doesn't really matter, because the law is the law, and the city says that you have to have it. So that's the way that is. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share, and I'll open up for reopening questions for our families before we go on. So let's see, is there anything in?
Just as a question about, is it possible for blended students to go back for 5 days a week like elementary school?
Some are, a very limited number are. But again, that's due to the space requirements that we have in the classrooms. Basically, we can't have more than 10, between 10 and 12 students in every classroom space.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Will parents be notified that day when children are tested?
We attempt to do that, yes.
What will the remote days of blended learning look like? Will the kids have instruction?
It'll be the same as, they'll notice no difference. They should notice no difference whatsoever. Remote learners.
Not the remote learning, the kids who come back in the building when the days that they're at home, will they have live instruction?
Not all the time, but a lot of the time. That's kind of how we tried to set it up. We try to maximize that. But again, as we always said from the beginning, the most amount of live instruction at home is going to be through remote learning. All right. Don't forget, we have over 80% of our students are remote learners.
Wow, so it's increased.
A little bit. Yep.
I will give you a plug. My daughter Morgan's in remotes in September, and we're very, very happy with the product.
Thank you. Children will get, actually, we're publishing the new schedules. We're putting the final touches on them, and we'll publish those in the student manual. So you'll have all of those schedules, certainly by the time the school starts. If
we don't know about state tests.
Right. We don't know about that. The federal government says yes. The city says, no, we don't want to. Please let us not. And we're waiting to hear back from the federal government. I'm sure our state and city, I'm sure our New York State is not the only state requesting a waiver. And I can't, again, I don't think anybody has any answers whatsoever about what the test would look like or how students would take it. I can't imagine that students would be taking the exam at school, unless, of course, they lifted all of the social distance requirements. If they did that, we can open back up and, hey, let's get on with things. But I don't see that happening. If you haven't gotten your money back from a trip yet, you certainly should have. Please contact your assistant principal, or you can contact me and I'll get it to them and we'll find out what happened there. But I do believe all the checks have been distributed. So let me know if that's not the case for you. Great. Anything else about school reopening? All right. If it does, if anything comes up, please let us know. So let's talk a little bit about the budget. As Mr. Labella said, we are going to try and fund as much of the graduation expenses as we can. Right now, it looks like we have about $300,000 in our budget, plus or minus about $30,000. We're waiting to hear about a set aside that we had for our special education registers to see if we get to keep that money or if we need to give it back. We should know about that in a few days. What we are waiting on are the estimates for the air conditioning projects in the cafeteria and the auditorium. So the cafeteria is our first place, and you know, since we have this extra money, this is something that we've been talking about for quite some time through our parent meetings, of course, our school leadership team meetings, and at our school with our students. That would really be a tremendous benefit to all the students, because all of them use the cafeteria, and for a good part of the year, it's quite uncomfortable down there. And some of you who've been down there can certainly attest to that. So it's going to be close, though. The engineers were in the school earlier in February, and I am waiting for their report. Our purchasing deadlines are coming up in about a month, a little bit less, actually. I need to get that report and see the estimate so that we can set aside that money. It's going to be real close. If we don't spend it on that particular project, we have other technology projects and other related items that we'll be working on purchasing. But I think the air conditioning project would be a nice COVID legacy to leave behind for future Denzians of the Krista McAuliffe School and Cafeteria. So that could be, hopefully, that'll be a real nice.
Mr. Berman, if it's a matter of a few thousand or even 10,000, that's something that the PTO would certainly, I think, consider bridging the gap for.
Thank you. And I'm trying to sort of balance all of the expenses that, of course, you know, the Ford Theater, the caps and gowns, the yearbook, all of these things, you know, that we want to do for our families, because we know it's been a terribly difficult year for many, many of our families, both financially and otherwise. And if we can help, we certainly will do that. Let me go on and finish a couple things. I did meet our new superintendent today the new District 20 superintendent. His name is Mr. David Preto, and he met with all of the principals today at our principals conference. He shared a bit about his family and his history with the Department of Education and his educational background. And he spoke very fluently, and I was really very, very impressed and hopeful that and I wish him a tremendous amount of luck as he takes on a very challenging role in any district. And we wish him a lot of luck as a leader of District 20. And I do hope that he brings a lot of things to our community. And one of the things that I felt right away, which was really great, I felt just a lot of positivity sort of flowing from him about what he's about to undertake. And that was really great to see. The next thing I wanted to talk about was a couple of instructional things coming up. I want to remind families the end of the marking period. This is actually marking period 2. Normally we have 4 marking periods a year, 4 quarters. This year, because of the epidemic and the structure that we have, we moved to a 3-term year. So the end of term 2 is coming up and will be on March 12th. So please, students, if you're listening, make sure you are firing on all cylinders now. Make sure you're making the best impression possible. Put your best feet forward now, as I'm sure you always do. Parents, I'm looking for some feedback from you, either in our chat if you want to speak up, or just send an email about how you're feeling about the amount of after-school work your children are getting. I'm hoping that we've had sort of a lull and in this pause, and that it's given students the opportunity to kind of catch their breaths as we sort of prepare for a pretty long grind to spring break. It's the end of April, so we've got a few weeks, a couple months to go for that, and there'll be a lot of work that needs to be done in the meantime. So I do look forward to getting some feedback on that. And in that same vein, I'd like to spend, if I could, if you could entertain me, Mr. Labella, about 5 or 7 minutes and go over some of the fall experience survey results.
It'd be wonderful, sir. You have as much time as you want.
I'd love to pop some of those data points up on the screen. If
you can share, you're a co-host.
I can. That's terrific. Excellent, excellent. So I'd like to pull some of that data up and sort of share it with you, talk with you a little bit about it. Let me make sure I've got the right screen here. Looks good. Now this is the Panorama School survey. Hold on just a moment. I may have gotten kicked out. No, I am good. Here we are. All right. Great. Let me just check the chat real quick before we go on. Very limited blended.
There's a question in the chat about bus service, if they're going to be picking the students up for school.
If you had a yellow bus earlier, then you should still have a yellow bus. In one of the emails that I sent, I had asked you to contact your bus company to make sure of what the pickup time and the drop off is. So you should really make sure that you do that. But yes, if you had a yellow bus before, then you'll have one now. We do have Metro cards at school. We'll be giving those out to those students who are eligible to them. And then there was a question here about blended. No, not only special needs students are going back, mostly special needs students. We do have a few general ed students who have been struggling, and we have invited them to come back as well. So let's go to, okay, high school admissions. That's a good question. I suspect sometime in May. That would be my guess. Things are delayed because everything was delayed this year. Let's see. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Was there another question? Okay. All right. So this is the school experience survey webpage, and it has the results from students, teachers and staff, and family members. I'll go through this fairly quickly. We can really spend a lot of time looking at it. It's interesting. Survey data can be kind of cool to talk about and ponder. But I think there are a few standout things to kind of look at. So we'll look at our school results. The first page I want to show you are student surveys. We have the most student most responses from students on this survey, 754 of them. Many of them did it in school, or teachers asked the students to do the survey. And so what you'll see are the four main categories here, and you can see our results here, the percent favorable. Okay, that's how this survey is rated, which, you know, you have to look carefully at what the data is saying to interpret whether it's a good or a bad thing, right? Because an unfavorable response might not necessarily be a negative thing, so to speak. And you'll see what I mean when I show you what some of the data is. But if we look at our student results compared to the results of different other schools in District 20, it's kind of interesting, especially the student learning piece. That is a huge difference. 10 points, I've never seen that. It's a tremendous difference. And if we flip this over to New York City, that goes down just a bit, but that's also a tremendous number. We can take a look at this. Great, here we are. So we were looking at the student learning. Let's open that up. There we go. So what you can see is sort of where we fall over the whole range there. This is interesting, how much time students say they're spending on schoolwork remotely. This is interesting, and again, it's how you interpret this question. You could say, oh my God, more than 6 hours, but if you're including the time that you're in school, and I think most of the students included that time, that really seems to make sense, right? And how do students feel about the live instruction? I wish they would have rated that question, because I don't think you'll see that in other schools, that kids are receiving the amount of live instruction that our remote kids are. Some of this data is really, really impressive. Although again, I take it with a grain of salt. It's nice to take credit for the good data and criticize the other stuff, but you kind of have to, take it all. But it is impressive. And what I particularly like is, let me show you. It's here. This is a very telling response, and I think it goes to show that I think the amount of live instruction that we've had has really had a positive impact on how the kids feel that they're learning. There's another item that I wanted to share with you. It may be in another section. Yes, it's going to be in another section. Let me go back for a moment to the summary here. And if there's anything you want to see more of, please let me know. The student well-being here, I think that was the one that I wanted to point out. Yeah, I think this one is really important because this is one of the things that we've worked on every year for as long as I can remember. And Mr. Labella, maybe you remember one of the first meetings that we have with the sixth graders. One of the things that I impress upon our students when they come to school, and you know, that first day that they're a Krista McCullough student, and it's their first day at school, and other opportune times throughout their careers, is that there are people here who care about them deeply, and that we're there to help them and support them. And I encourage every student at the beginning to identify someone in the school, whoever it may be, whether it's a homeroom teacher, a subject teacher, an AP, a school safety agent, someone in the cafeteria, an adult who they feel like they could go to if they had a problem or for some kind of support. So it's really great to see that, because it really, I think, goes to show how our teachers have worked, and how you've helped us cultivate with your kids to be able to be open with the adults at our school. And it's such an important thing when we know that kids are stressed out, and I'll show you a bit of that data also. This is another thing that I thought was really, really impressive, and a credit to our teachers, the fact that the kids really feel like they're spending time building community. It's incredibly hard to do remotely, right? To build a community when you're not together. It's a lot easier to do when you're together, and when you have a class in a group, or you can get classes together in PE or in an assembly or what have you. But I think that really this is a testament to the kind of community that that the folks in our school have created, and that includes your students, because they create the culture as well. They're living and breathing culture. So I'm really, really impressed with that. Let me go on and go over with you what some of the teacher data. Sorry, hold on a second. There we go. This is what some of our teachers responded. We had staff members, I should say. It's not just teachers. Any staff members could have replied to the survey. We don't really know. There really aren't great subgroup divisions here, but that's not really all that important. But here again, this is quite impressive to see such a difference and deviation from the averages in District 20, and also in the city as well. Here's a good example of where the data might not necessarily mean what you think it means. Does this mean that we're really bad at engaging our students and that they're not learning? No, that's not what that means at all. What that means is when you ask the teachers a question, how concerned are you about your students' social and emotional well-being? They're very concerned about it. They love your children. They're so concerned about them. I mean, you know, I would be concerned if they said, "Nah, I'm not concerned about it at all." Then I'd be worried. I'm not worried that our teachers are concerned about your kid's social and emotional well-being, because that they're helping to do something about it, and they're working with your children about it. How concerned are they about their growth? Of course, they're concerned about their growth. We're always concerned about their growth. And I think you'll see when we get to some of the parent data, and again, I think it's just incredibly obvious. Well, here's another one. I mean, of course, we're concerned about our kids' opportunity to socialize with their peers. They can't be in the same room together. I mean, they haven't been going to school together since before November, right? So, you know, socializing is not, if we limit that socialization to just being on the computer, I think we have a tremendous problem, right? It's much, much more than that, of course. And so certainly our teachers are concerned about those things. And sure, our teachers are concerned about opportunities to build relationships. And it should come as no surprise that parents are concerned about the same things. So we had 218 family members, and you can see here the overall results here, and the District 20 results, and here are the New York City middle school results here for families. And so let's take a moment and delve into the student learning here, since we were just looking at that with the students and with the teachers. So this was not scored, but you can see most of the parents are feeling like students are receiving the right amount of online instruction, or at least out of the 218 families who replied. Let's see. So again, what are some of the things that parents are concerned about? Well, I think the same kinds of things that teachers are concerned about, whether it's academic growth, social growth, interacting with peers. But here, this shouldn't be a tremendous shocker that it's more difficult for a lot of children to learn in this environment, and maybe they're not learning quite as much as they would learn in a regular school environment. That should come as no surprise to anyone. So I think that's something that kind of makes sense to me. And again, being concerned about your child's academic growth, of course, you're concerned parents. It's part of, I think, your character and nature to be concerned about academic growth. And I think, obviously, I think we're more concerned about that this year because of the remote situation that we have. But I think your children have really been doing a fantastic job keeping it together and working hard and doing some fun things. I know we've worked hard to schedule fun things. We did, right before the break, we did the, oh gosh, what was it called? I'm blanking on what we called it, but it was so much fun. We recorded things and took the sound off, and then played the videos for the students, so they had to try and guess what we were saying. So I recorded the Pledge of Allegiance, like I used to say every morning. Miss doing that, and kids had a lot of fun. Most of them got that one. There was a little flag in the background as a clue, but so we've been doing some fun things like that, which has been great. Again, progress towards IEP goals. Yeah, I mean, some of our special education students have struggled more than they normally do, which is the same for our general ed students. Some of them have struggled a lot more than they normally do. Others are knocking it out of the park. So there really is a variety of things going on. But I wanted to at least just get this out. It hasn't been published yet, but these are the results, and they're here. So I feel like there's no reason not to share them with you. I'm happy to. And when they do send me an official report, I will happily send them out to you. And if you've got any questions about these data or anything else, please let me know. And so I think that's probably a good place for me to conclude. I'm sorry it took so long, and I hope I didn't take too much time, but I wanted to share that. So thanks.
Not at all, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate all the work you do. And we appreciate you sharing that good news. We need some good news, I think.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions before Mr. Berman? I know he communicated that he has another thing that he has to run to. So, but before he leaves, does anybody have anything for him?
I've got a little bit. I'll stick around as long as I can. And if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. I know you've got a presentation coming up, so I don't want to take any more of our presenters' time or anything like that. But I'll stick around for a bit. And thanks, everybody. Really appreciate your support.
Betty, are you here?
I am. Hi. Can you hear me?
So, ma'am, you're up. Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'll be quick. So I'm the parent liaison at the Brooklyn U of T. I help schools get organized around any kind of charter co-locations or school closings or truncating, or even like one school was supposed to receive capital funds from city council that was supposed to go to DOE, and the money was just sitting there. So I help schools get organized. So I wanted to kind of share that I know right now the world is different, but when we go back to regular world, if your school ever needs any kind of organizing help, I can come to the school and help you get organized. Like maybe even like cell phone. There was one school, Base High School, was they realized that cell phones were causing a lot of safety incidences, and students were learning and they were cheating. And so we asked the DOE to do something about it. The pouches, the kids were breaking the pouches. So we asked the Department of Education to pay for lockers, and we actually got it. So that was just another organizing effort. So anytime your school has any kind of issue that needs external organizing, you're welcome to call me. I'll put my name and my phone number and my email in the chat, and you can always call me. And then I just wanted to promote some of the things that we're doing right now. One, and I think that stuff is going to be shared with you because I'm on my phone. I don't know how to share it. But tomorrow, there's going to be a FAFSA workshop. We're going to have volunteers do one-on-ones with students on how to fill out the form. And then Thursday, we're going to have a training on how to join your CEC. And then we have Dial a Teacher. It's something that parents can call in, and they will do workshops at your school, not your physical school anymore, but they do trainings for parents and for students. And when we do go back to normal world, they do come to your school as well. And Brave is an anti-bullying hotline where they also do trainings for students and for parents, where students can report bullying, or even if they observe bullying, they can report it, and everything is anonymous. So those are just some of the services that the U of T offers for parents in Brooklyn. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, and feel free to contact me with anything. Also, this is still tentative. I don't have a flyer yet, but May 10th, sorry, that's a Saturday. We are going to do a summer camp, for all free summer camp programs that are available in New York City. It's going to be an all-day Zoom workshop. So if you contact me, I will send you the information. So Saturday, May 10th, all day free summer camp programs. And that's all.
Well, thank you, Betty. That was good. That was short and sweet, right? You got a lot of information out there. I did send out the flyers for both Brave and Dial a Teacher. You should have received it in the email. Also, it is on our Facebook page. Both of those are on there, and I will certainly post those again. So feel free to get that information, and if it's appropriate, please reach out to utilize that resource. Yes, we all hope that, thank you, Yvonne. Yes, we all hope that we could come back and have a normal year next year. Betty, you gonna make that happen?
Single-handedly, yes.
Yes, we're gonna make that happen. September is gonna be, everybody's back to school and healthy and safe, and we're gonna keep our fingers crossed. Any questions for Betty? Go ahead,
I'm
ma'am.
putting my cell phone number in here so you guys can call me with any concerns. I don't know contract stuff. I don't know teacher stuff. I know parent organizing stuff.
Well, thank you for sharing your cell phone.
Yes.
I'll put that in my contacts.
So one thing that I don't work with 20 often. And that's why I was like, under COVID, I'm trying to expand myself, my organizing efforts. But a few years ago, there was a school, charter school that was trying to come into a district, and we helped organize around not letting it come into a district. So that was a community effort. Whether you support it or not.
Everyone plays their role, Betty. I tell
that.
people we shouldn't get angry about politics. It's like the road runner and the coyote. Everybody does their thing, and then we're all friends when the clock punches out, right?
Yeah, I mean,
That's the way it's
you
supposed
can.
to be.
I don't remember the details of it, but I do remember that District 20 is overcrowded, so there wasn't actually going to be a space for it. So they were going to take a lot of your money and build a space for them. So that was a big effort on District 20.
Angel Guarding, I think that was it. We just wound up that's going to be where our new middle school is going to be. Okay, anything else for anybody? If there's nothing else out there, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. I just need, let's give it a minute. Good. Thank you, Leon. Good night to you too as well. There's nothing else out there. I'm going to get a motion to adjourn. I'm going to ask for a motion. Thank you, Madeline. Somebody else, give me a motion. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we are adjourned at 8:15 p.m. Thank you so much. We do have an SLT meeting coming up next month. Please also remember graduation, and please also, please think about getting involved with the PTO. We need an assistant treasurer desperately. We need for next year all of these executive officer positions. We would really love to have you get involved so that we can leave the Krista McAuliffe Intermediate School PTO in great hands when we're all about to shuffle off the stage. Okay, everyone. Good night. Thank you again so much.